Bishop, good to see you again. And recently you signed on to a statement about immigration reform, asking for immigration reform. And it was a group of Christians, not necessarily Catholics, many evangelicals signed on. Do you find a lot of ecumenical support for immigration reform?
Yes, I think in the last 5 years especially, the evangelical churches have come aboard and seen the issue more closely because maybe they're getting more members that are immigrants. So they've become active. We've been there. They admit it. You know, we've been there for a long time. The Catholic Church has always been on this issue. And just recently we signed a joint statement between evangelical churches and the Catholic Church stating the moral need for immigration reform.
Mm-hmm. When people think of immigration reform, they think that we're talking about opening the borders and just letting everybody come into the country. I mean, that's not what immigration reform is all about. What are we talking about? What are some of the changes that we would like to see take place in our immigration policy?
Well, the first thing we need to do is to regularize a situation of almost 11 million people that are here without documentation or really undocumented workers. Because they've come here because there's a demand for work. Then we've got to deal with the workplace. We shouldn't have anybody just coming here to work. If we protect the workplace by identity cards or by e-verify, which means an employer has to check the social security number, make sure it's valid, then we're kind of protecting the workplace because the border is almost impossible to protect, stop people. They keep coming. Mm-hmm. But if there's no attraction to say you're going to work, then there's a difference. Then we've got to reform the system because we need to have workers come in a legal way, and we need to have families united because now they're being separated by deportations of people being caught because they're not here with legal status. So there's a lot of things have to happen at once. Some people say, oh, secure the border first, then we can do that. It doesn't seem that we've been able to do it. Building a fence for 1,000 miles is another 2,000 miles to go, and people are going underneath it. They're finding other ways. So it's not that. It's the workplace. The attraction to our country has always been for immigrants. We come to the United States to seek our fortune, to work, not to go on welfare, to work, because you don't go too far on welfare. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have to protect, that the American worker as well as the undocumented worker. Let's clarify that situation. Then we'll have a better understanding of how to reform immigration.
Mm-hmm. You recently had a press conference with Senator Schumer and some other political leaders at Our Lady of Sorrows in Corona, and you wanted to get the word out about some of the things that the Diocesan Migration Office can do here, and we have some big days coming up in April.
One of the things we're trying to do is to get a citizenship campaign because many people are permanent residents, but they've never become citizens. There's a real gap for some people. You know, you could apply for citizenship right after you become a permanent resident. Most people kind of put it off. They just don't get around to it. Mm-hmm. But when we facilitate it, when we have days when they can come in and help fill out the application, when we can have classes teaching them the citizenship issues that they have to go take a test about, this will facilitate people becoming citizens. I know my own grandparents all were immigrants. Some never, like one grandmother never became a citizen. My grandfather became a citizen after 40 years here. My grandmother after 65 years here, right? Wow. Because I wanted to take her back to Italy. I got her a citizenship. She spoke really very good English, didn't have any trouble passing the test, but just never did it. So this is what's happening. It's nothing new that immigrants just seem never to get around taking that leap of becoming citizens. Mm-hmm.
I guess Corona is a place where we have many immigrants and we have a large Catholic population there. Right. How does this impact the Brooklyn Diocese? I mean, many of these immigrants coming here are Catholics, aren't they?
That's true. And the clinic with the National Catholic Immigration Network has worked in Los Angeles. Now they picked us here in Brooklyn to do this campaign because, again, once somebody is a citizen, they can also apply for their relatives, which will allow some people to be regularized. But if they don't get past the citizenship, they can't get that benefit for their family.
What's your sense of the politics of this thing? I mean, this is a tough year because it is an election year. Do you think there's a will in Congress to get this thing done?
Well, it's hard to say. There's just gridlock in Congress. They don't get too much done,
No.
it seems. They get to the brink and then something happens. Maybe they'll get to the brink on this and it may get done. Maybe it'll get done piecemeal. It's hard to say. It's hard to read the tea leaves down there.
Well, I know it's a cause close to your own heart there, Bishop.
is.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Okay.